In this video, we're going to talk about some pretty overlooked errors that not a lot of people look into, especially in their scrap silver. Generally, when people go and they buy their scrap silver, whether it's good old US 90% type or even some of the 40% like the Kennedy half dollars and things like that, generally, you buy them just to have the silver, right? It's kind of like an investment. It's your holdings. You're building a portfolio. It's a lot of fun. But what's even more fun is having the ability to take some time to look at each individual coin, to look for things like varieties. There is a number of Washington quarters that I could name off the top of my head from 1932 all the way up to 1964, in which the last final date of the 90% silver standard era just goes away. Among a few others, Roosevelt Dimes, a bunch of other older obsolete type coins, Merc Dimes, and Walking Liberty half dollars, you name it. There is a ton of double dies RPMs to look for. However, that's a video for a different, or that's a topic for a different video, and that could go on and on and on, because I'm telling you, there is a buttload of varieties to look for. However, in this video, we're going to identify the top 3 or 4 errors. These are mint errors that you can look for in your scrap silver, and it's going to make an immediate impact in terms of its overall value. It's going to take a coin that customarily will have a melt value of, say, $6 and can possibly turn it into $40, $50. Or that Morgan dollar that has a scrap silver value of about $26.50, and it'll turn it into a coin that's worth $200, $300. There's a few of them that, again, are vastly overlooked, grossly overlooked, and now might be a good time after looking at this video. Some of you should probably pull out all of your scrap silver and give it a second look. All right, grab your magnifier and have fun with it. You just never know what you're going to find. I mean, for those of you that do stack, look at it this way. You have that Morgan silver dollar that I don't know how much you paid for it, but you know it's worth around $27. Wouldn't it feel good to find that with a notable error on it that you could turn around and flip for $200, $300 and then take the $200 to $300 and buy more silver with it? I mean, that's a win. That is a huge win, any which way you look at it. So we're gonna have a lot of fun looking at some of these coins. A lot of them are raw. Okay, the big idea is the coins will sell based off of the error alone. Okay, sometimes you don't need to grade them. There's going to be a few exceptions, and we'll talk about that along the way. But here you go. Here's kind of like my personal list of coins to look for. I have found every single one of these, and I own multiple examples of every coin. I have sold these coins for big bucks during my 25 years in numismatics. And I would encourage you guys, if you're looking to expand and build your wealth through looking at errors in these scrap silver coins, go for it. The first coin that we're going to look at, the first error type, is going to be laminations. Laminations we generally see on like Lincoln cents, Jefferson nickels, some of those type of coins. Very rarely do we ever pay attention to a lamination on early silver. Now you're going to find throughout this video, we're going to use Morgan dollars as the examples of each of the different types of errors. I find that Morgan dollars, because of their size, they're easier to see. You know what these are going to look like on 90% silver coins. And you can even look at like Canadian 80%. You can look at a bunch of different other types. But these are some of the most common errors that are overlooked, and people will either kind of pass them off as damage or, what have you. But this coin right here is a lamination peel. So you have some issues with the coin in terms of its original planchet composition. Might be some annealing errors on this, some heating problems. But when you see a striation like this, just a smear that looks black under close magnification, you'll see that it's actually impressed into the coin. You can even see some of that here on the reverse. This is what a lamination will typically look like on an untouched mint-state Morgan dollar. Okay, and the same can be said for any other denomination of coin. If it's that Washington quarter, laminations will sometimes look dark because some of those inner areas right there will have a little bit of copper. Okay, that's why they're 90% for a reason, is because they are mixed with some other type of metal, in this case copper. So those areas will oxidize or they'll tone, and they'll come out looking dark like this. So this is in 1887. It's a quite common date. As a matter of fact, most of the dates we're going to talk about in this video are extremely common. All right, I mean it's no big secret that a lot of the highest minted coinage will exhibit some of the most errors because of the amount of production involved to create an 1887 Morgan dollar, or perhaps a 1904 or a 1921, which is the final year of the Morgans. So this coin right here sold on eBay July 18th for $49. I mean, that seems like a very modest amount of money, but if you look at this coin, so this is something that you could find in the scrap silver bin. A dealer will sometimes look at this and say, oh yeah, that's damage. And they'll throw it in there. They'll sell for $25 or whatever it is. But this is a coin where you can easily double up. Laminations are probably some of the most disliked errors on silver. And that's why your multiplier on a lot of these is about 1.5 to 2 times the actual melt value of the coin. The next one that we have here is an 1880s Morgan dollar. This one right here is actually one of the more common dates. Generally, you find these in high mint-state grades. You see them a lot with deep mirror proof-like or proof-like finishes. It's a coin that was hoarded by a great deal back in the day. A lot of these were in the mint bags at the Federal Reserve banks and other banks for the longest time before they were actually released for sale back to the general public. You guys know that as the GSA hoard. But this one right here has a pretty nice lamination right here. You can even see some of that areas over here. It looks like a striation or maybe a shooting star effect or a comet flare that usually affects a straight line throughout the coin. This one right here looks like it has been cleaned at one point, so it does have its issues. This one, again, is a raw example that never got graded, and this one sold for $65 back in July 22nd. Actually, that's today. That's the day of this video. So this is the most recent sale of any one of the errors on the list. All right, the next error we're going to look at is your simple strike-through. So strike-throughs occur in various different types of capacities. Some of you have heard of struck-through grease. The mint employees apply grease to the dies to help lubricate them. All right, so if they put a really nice heavy dose of grease on, say, the hammer die, you're going to see a certain amount of coins being struck through this grease, and to show up as being and I have a great example of that here coming up. It's a show as some of the devices will appear a lot lighter or not struck at all on certain examples. Then there's things like this. This has a reverse struck through error type of thing here. Based off of its pattern, it could be like a small shard of wood. It could be some other debris, because there's a bunch of that the mint presses are running, at such a high speed that sometimes you'll have metal shavings and you'll have little other, pieces of debris that have fallen off of the machine and onto the planchet before it's struck. Just to name a few. Okay, we've also heard struck through springs, struck through nails, struck through toothpicks. I mean, mint employees back in the day used anything they could to help dislodge some debris and stuff off of the mint press machinery. This one right here is actually, as you can tell, is an NGC graded example. This one is actually an AU55. There you go. And it's even attributed as being a reverse struck through, all right? And it's major enough that they actually have the reverse of the coin canted toward you, or facing forward in this holder with the label and all of its information right there. This is a coin that sold June 13th for $170. I would say that this is a coin that didn't need to be graded at all, but if you wanted an example that is untampered with, not cleaned or anything like that, that's probably the prime reason why that this coin was even sent off to NGC. Keep in mind, when you send coins off to the graders, you will pay extra fees to have this service done, so you definitely got to know how much the market is for these type of errors. You don't want to spend money needlessly to get something graded because it's not a cheap thing, all right? Especially if you're just sending 1 or 2 coins off to PCGS or NGC, it could get pretty expensive. But this one right here, $170. Again, it's a coin that says exactly what type of error it is. Probably don't need to grade this again. $170. I mean, that's not bad. Here's actually a struck through grease. Now, this is quite minor, but if you're using your eagle eyes and you know exactly what to look for, you can see that there was some grease here on the obverse die or the hammer die. There was some grease in the face area and into the cheek. You could see that the nose is flattened out and completely obliterated. The actual line that makes up Liberty's mouth is also missing as well. So you have a lot of softness right here. But look at the coin. I mean, it's a 1921, so it's a common date. You do have some toning, but it does look like it had an old cleaning back in the day and then retoned. So, you know, this is definitely not a coin that I would personally send out to the graders. Again, just sell something like this the way it is. This is one that sold May 16th on eBay for $129. I believe a best offer was accepted on this coin. Typically, you're going to find struck through grease, Morgan dollars, or any other coin for that matter. Sell for anywhere between 3 to 5 times the melt value. For instance, this one I would imagine probably sold for around $60 to $70, which puts it at around 2.5 times melt value. But again, any strike through is extremely valuable and it's guaranteed to be worth more than the actual melt value of the coin. And the final strike through right here is actually on a coin with a ton of problems. This is a 1900O. It's quite a common date, especially in this grade and even higher grades. They're still as common as you could imagine, up to about mid-state 65. But as you can see, this has the same similar type of strike through that you saw on the first coin of this particular error type here on the reverse. But look at the coin in general. It's got, you know, a lot of rim bumps and dings. You have a lot of heavy gouges and digs here. And on the reverse right here in states and into God in the motto. So the coin has its fair share of issues. And this is simply a testament to the type of coins that people will buy regardless of condition. Which, if you had a ton of scrap silver, obviously a lot of them will have condition issues. Whether they're cleaned, whether they have apparent damage on there. Still, pull these coins out because they will still carry quite a bit of value. This one right here sold July 8th on eBay for $99. So that is quite a spectacular flip in spite of its warts. The next error type that I wanted to talk about are what we call defective planchets. Now, defective planchets can have a few meanings. They can have fissures, which look like a ragged, cavernous type of clip on there. They could look like this, where the actual planchet was cracked at one point. You can just see it right here, that crack that goes all the way to the edge. You could see it in the same spot on the reverse. So the crack obviously affected and went through the entire planchet, where you could see it on both sides. All right, so sometimes these cracks will get bigger. You'll have a fissure where you actually can see through that spot, see like the light at the end of the tunnel, I suppose. But something like this right here, at first glance, people really don't pay too much attention. This particular coin is the 1921S, so it is a consummate, scrappy, scrap of the scrap silver coin that was probably originally purchased for about 25 to 30 bucks. But upon closer examination, if you know what you're looking for, you could find something quite nice like this defective plan. You can even see the crack going through the edge right here in the reading, which helps validate the type of error it is. And this is a coin that sold, ladies and gentlemen, April 25th of this year through 3 bids in the amount of $182.49. The technical grade on this coin is right around XF, and it could possibly have had an older cleaning. All right, so another problem coin right here. This is a coin that I actually talked about, a few days ago on my PCMR, but we have another incredibly common date, 1921. You can see the cracked planchet area right here with a buildup of like grease and debris over time. You can see it on the reverse as well in that same spot if you did a coin turn on it. So it's in the same general area. You can see the crack going to the edge. And again, condition-wise, nothing really to scream home to mother about. This looks like just a straight up, throw in a bin. This is my 90% hoard type of coin. So, to a lot of people, it's only worth 25 to 30 bucks. However, this particular person sold this one July 15th of this year on eBay for $79.95. And keep in mind, you can go and check completed auctions as of the taping of this video and find every single one of these coins on the list. All right, so that's defective planchets or cracked planchets. Pretty nice. I like these. I found a few of these myself. And the last one that I particularly like, and you would not believe how many people do not actually take the time to look for rotated die errors, but this is the top, the big dog, most overlooked error that you should pay attention to in your scrap silver. And it does not matter if it's Morgan's, piece dollars, Washington quarters, Franklin half dollars, even going into the 90 and 40% coins of the Kennedy half dollars. Look for them all. They have all been discovered in every conceivable US type coin. This one right here is a graded coin by PCGS. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is that it's much easier to illustrate and photograph and prove that the coin is indeed a rotated die reverse. We have a pretty apparent and notable 75-degree clockwise, okay, so it's going to the left, rotated die on this 1878 Carson City. Now, this is an incredibly tough date, especially in this grade. It's a mid-state 65. It's considered probably one of the Carson City keys. I own a coin like this, that not a rotated die Morgan or of this date and mint, but my plain Jane AU example is nowhere near close to the beauty of this coin. This is an example that's sold May 3rd of this year on eBay for $2,585. I would be willing to bet that maybe about 25 to 30% of that value has everything to do with the error. So keep that in mind. This is a very valuable error, and most people usually don't look for them, okay? People only want the low-hanging fruit, easy to identify type stuff. Rotated dies can be a little cumbersome to look through, especially if you have a ton of coins. It would entail that you have to flip every coin over in the same axis. It could be kind of grueling. But anyways, they are the most valuable off-the-shelf type of errors you could find. The next one that we have here, if you did not want to grade a coin, okay, there is a way to illustrate rotated dies by simply stapling it into a 2x2 or using one of those adhesive 2x2s. This will show you just the amount of rotation on the reverse. This one has a rotation of about 55 degrees right here, which is a good fair amount. And it's also clockwise as well. And the coin is raw. It's an 1889 O. Again, in this condition, which looks to be about an XF45 AU50. It's not a super high-end coin, and this is one that typically you will find in melt bins. You can imagine how many of these were melted back in the day, but yeah, it'd probably make everybody sick if I kept talking about it, so we'll just stop there. But this one right here, a pretty phenomenal example that sold last month in June for $199. And again, the coin is raw. There's really no real reason to grade something like this, unless you really wanted to. But again, if your motivation is to resell it when you get it back, you are going to lose out on about $30 worth of grading submission fees. And the final coin that I wanted to talk about was actually one that I owned in my collection. This is one that I bought on Great Collections about 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. This is a 1923 piece dollar. I bought it full well knowing that it is a rotated die reverse, but this one fits perfectly in my Soap Bar Mid-State 61 set. And this is a beauty. As you can see, the rotated die reverse is about 80 degrees clockwise on this. Pretty phenomenal and just absolutely dramatic in itself. 1923, a very common date. Again, guys, Mid-State 61. These type of numerical grades are normally seen as scrap value. So you definitely want to go and check even piece dollars, even coins that are kind of like fringy AU to Mid-State condition. You would be surprised how many you would find. And even minor rotated dies like 20, 30 degrees are also a pretty big score. All right, so this coin right here is worth approximately $400 as it sits with its 80 degree rotated reverse. If you found one that's a little bit minor, like a 20 to 30 degree, that's still a coin worth 80 to $100. So there is a tremendous amount of value here with these rotated die reverses. But those are the main ones that I wanted to talk about in this video that most people just don't pay attention to, and I figure, hey, why not? You know, you could turn, let's say if you found like 6, 7 coins, and they could be all different denominations out of your scrap silver bin or your hoard. You have essentially took maybe probably $50, $60 in melt value and turned it into $500. I'd say that's a huge win. Why not do it? Why would you not want to do that, right? But that's going to go ahead and do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you got a few takeaways from this, identifying these type of minor errors that most people overlook. Yeah, make sure you save this one in your playlist, so that way when you go to look through your coins, you'll know exactly what to look for. And again, the variety kind of thing, we're going to have to talk about coins on an individual date basis in that regard, because there's just so much to cover. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Don't forget to like, share, or subscribe to this channel if you indeed like the content here today. And don't forget to hit that bell for instant notifications. That's going to do it. All right, Coinaholics, we are discovering together, and I shall see you next time. Take care.